Jake looked at the former council leader with pity. Because we are not like you. We do not solve problems by destroying our enemies. We solve problems by building something better. As they watched, a new ship arrived at the docking bay. It was full of Drakmarian refugees who had fled their dying homeworld. Soon they would have new homes and new hope. The galaxy is changing, Jake said. The old ways are ending. The new ways are just beginning. What if we cannot learn? Veltar asked. What if we cannot change? Then you will be left behind, Jake replied. But we will not abandon you. We will keep trying to help until you are ready to help yourselves. The artificial sun of Ring 5 reached full Po. 1 year had passed since Jake Morrison walked out of the council meeting. 1 year since humans had said no to being treated like servants. Now, Jake stood on the observation deck of New Terra Station and watched the most beautiful sight in the galaxy. The fifth ring habitat was coming online. Its artificial sun blazed to life, casting warm light across the inner surface where millions of beings would soon make their homes. Cities sparkled like jewels on the ring's inner curve. Parks and lakes and forests created a perfect world in space. The Confederation Assembly is ready for you, Director Morrison, said Tony Martinez. Tony was young and smart and had been born in space during the Great Exodus. He represented a new generation that had never known oppression. Jake smiled at the title. Director Morrison. He was not a ruler or a master. He was a public servant elected by the people of the Confederation. Every species had a vote. Every voice mattered. Tell them I will be there in 5 minutes, Jake said. I want to watch the sun finish coming online. Through the transparent walls of the observation deck, Jake could see ships from dozens of different worlds, not just human ships. Altarian vessels with their crystal hulls, Vorthon freighters with their boxy shapes, even some Zephyrian ships whose owners had abandoned the Council to join the Confederation. The doorway behind Jake made a soft sound. He turned to see Alex Turner materializing as a hologram. Alex was broadcasting from the research ring where human scientists worked alongside alien experts to solve the mysteries of the universe. Jake, we did it, Alex said. His holographic face was glowing with excitement. Stable wormhole generation. We can connect our rings across intergalactic space now. Jake felt his heart jump. Wormholes meant instant travel between galaxies. It meant the Confederation could expand beyond their home galaxy. It meant freedom for beings across the entire universe. How soon can we test it? Jake asked. The prototype is ready now, Alex replied. We could open a gateway to the Andromeda Galaxy within the hour. Jake nodded. Do it. But be careful. We do not know what we might find there. The hologram flickered and vanished. Jake turned back to watch the ring habitat. Below him, beings from 40 different species worked together to build something amazing. Children played in the parks while their parents built new lives free from fear. This was what the Council had never understood. When people were free to choose, they chose to work together. When no one was forced to obey, everyone was willing to help. The communication panel on the wall made a soft beeping sound. Jake touched it with his finger. Morrison here, he said. Director, this is Captain Stone on Ring Defense Station 1, came the reply. We have a council ship requesting. Permission to approach. They say they want to talk. Jake was not surprised. For months, small groups of aliens had been escaping from council space to join the Confederation. Each refugee brought stories of planets falling apart and governments collapsing. Who is on the ship? Jake asked. Veltar himself, Director, and a small group of other council leaders. Jake thought for a moment. Veltar was the alien who had ruled the council for 30 years. He had been the one who treated humans like animals. He had been the one who laughed when humans asked for fair treatment. Now he was coming to ask for help. Let them approach, Jake decided. But keep our defenses ready. This might be a trick. Understood, Director. Jake left the observation deck and walked through the station corridors toward the main assembly hall. Along the way, he passed beings from dozens of worlds. A group of Altarian children ran past him, laughing as they chased a ball. Their parents had been slaves in council mines just 1 year ago. Now they were free. The assembly hall was huge and bright. Representatives from every species in the Confederation sat in comfortable chairs arranged in a circle. No one sat higher than anyone else. No one had more power because of their species or their planet. Jake took his seat just as the council ship docked with the station. On the big screen at the front of the room, they could all see Veltar walking slowly down the docking tube. The proud alien leader looked old and tired. His blue skin was pale. His snake arms moved like they were in pain. Behind Veltar came Admiral Chen Rodriguez and Director Thane Willis. Jake recognized them from his years of council meetings. They looked scared. The assembly hall doors opened, and the 3 aliens entered. They stopped in the middle of the circle and looked around, at all the representatives watching them. Some of the representatives were former council citizens who had escaped to join the Confederation. Director Morrison, Veltar said. His voice was quiet and humble, very different from the loud, angry voice Jake remembered. "Thank you for agreeing to see us." "You are welcome here," Jake replied. "What do you want to say?" Veltar looked down at the floor. "We have come to ask for your help." The assembly hall was completely silent. No one made a sound. Even the air recycling system seemed to stop. "The council is dying," Veltar continued. "Our worlds are failing. Our people are hungry. Our ships cannot fly. Our computers do not work. We do not know how to fix the things you built for us." "Why should we help you?" asked Representative Lisa Barnes. She was now the spokesperson for the Altarian refugees. "You treated us like slaves. You laughed at our pain. You said we were too stupid to live without you." Veltar's snake arms trembled. "Because you are better than we are. Because you believe in mercy and forgiveness. Because you save people even when they do not deserve it." Jake looked around the circle at his fellow representatives. He saw humans who had been treated badly by the council. He saw aliens who had been oppressed by their own governments. He saw beings who had every reason to want revenge. But he also saw something else. He saw people who believed in doing the right thing. "We will help you," Jake said finally. "But not the way you expect." Veltar looked up with hope in his eyes. "What do you mean?" "We will not fix your machines for you," Jake explained. "We will not come back to serve the council. Instead, we will teach your people how to fix things themselves. We will show them how to be free." "Free?" Admiral Chen asked. "What does that mean?" "It means no more council ruling over everyone," Jake said. "It means each world choosing its own government. It means species working together as equals instead of masters and servants." "That is impossible," Veltar protested. "Without the council, there would be chaos." "Look around you," Jake said, waving his hand at the assembly hall. "Do you see chaos? Do you see war? Do you see suffering?" Veltar looked around the room. He saw beings from dozens of species talking and laughing together. He saw children playing while their parents worked to build a better future. He saw peace and cooperation and hope. "I do not understand," Veltar whispered. "That is the problem," Jake said gently. "You never understood. You thought power came from forcing others to obey. You thought strength came from making others weak." "Then where does power come from?" Veltar asked. "Power comes from working together," Jake replied. "Strength comes from helping others become strong. The more free people there are in the galaxy, the stronger we all become." Thane Willis stepped forward. "Director Morrison, many of our people are interested in joining your confederation. Would you accept us?" "We would accept anyone who believes in freedom and equality," Jake said. "But you have to give up the old ways. No more ruling over others. No more treating people like property. Everyone is equal under Confederation law. Even us? Veltar asked. Even former council leaders? Even you, Jake confirmed. But you start at the bottom like everyone else. You earn respect through your actions, not your title. The three council leaders looked at each other. Jake could see them thinking hard about what this meant. They would go from being the most powerful beings in the galaxy to being ordinary citizens. We accept, Veltar said finally. We have no choice. Our old way of life is dead. No, Jake corrected him. You do have a choice. You can choose to learn and grow and become better, or you can choose to hold on to the past and fade away. The choice is yours. Over the next few hours, the Assembly voted to accept refugees from Council space. They voted to send teachers and engineers to help rebuild the failing worlds. They voted to offer membership in the Confederation to any group that wanted to join. As the meeting ended, Jake walked with Veltar to the observation deck. Together they watched the ring habitats spinning slowly in space. Millions of beings lived and worked in those rings, all of them free, all of them equal. How did you do it? Veltar asked. How did you build all this so quickly? We did not do it quickly, Jake replied. We planned for 50 years. We worked in secret. We prepared for the day when we would be ready to leave. Why did you not fight us? Veltar asked. You could have destroyed the council long ago. President Karen Walsh stood at the window of her office, looking out at the lights of New York City below. The emergency session had been going for 6 hours. Representatives from every nation on Earth filled the assembly hall. Colony governors, joined by hologram from worlds dozens of light years away. The debate had been fierce. Some wanted to accept the council's terms. Others demanded total rejection. Karen had listened to every voice, but the decision would ultimately be hers to make. General Alex Carter entered the office without knocking. The old soldier's face looked tired, but his eyes burned with the same fire that had carried him through 3 interstellar conflicts. The votes are in, he said. 47 nations support compliance. 53 support rejection. The colonies are unanimous for rejection. Karen nodded. She had expected the split to be close. Fear made people careful. But the colonies knew what freedom meant in ways that Earth had almost forgotten. What about the economic projections? She asked. Carter placed a data pad on her desk. Dr. Rachel Kim's team finished their analysis. If we comply with council demands, human technological advancement stops. We become dependent on alien technology for everything from medicine to transportation. Within 50 years, we would be no better than pets. Karen picked up the pad and scrolled through the numbers. The economic models painted a grim picture of stagnation and decline under council oversight. And if we reject their ultimatum? Short-term chaos, Carter admitted. We lose access to council trade routes. Some of our frontier colonies might struggle without imported supplies. But Kim's classified research suggests we can not only survive independently, but thrive. Karen looked up from the pad. What classified research? Carter's smile was sharp as a blade. That's what I came to tell you. We've been keeping secrets from the council for good reason. Dr. Rachel Kim entered the office as if summoned by their conversation. The chief science officer carried a briefcase that she set on Karen's desk with reverent care. Madam President, Kim said, what I'm about to show you changes everything we thought we knew about human capabilities. Kim opened the briefcase and pulled out several data crystals. She inserted one into Karen's personal computer system. Holographic displays filled the air above the desk. 3 years ago, our research teams made a breakthrough in faster-than-light travel, Kim said. Not the slow, fuel-heavy drives the council uses, but something completely new. We can travel 10 times faster using half the energy. Karen stared at the technical specifications floating in front of her. Why wasn't I told about this? Because we suspected the Council was monitoring our communications, Carter said. We needed to be sure this technology stayed secret until we decided how to use it. Kim activated another display. That's not all. We've developed self-replicating construction systems. One ship can build an entire colony infrastructure in months instead of years. We've also cracked the code on zero-point energy extraction. In plain language, Doctor, Karen said, we can build anything anywhere using only the materials we find in space, Kim explained. Asteroids, dead planets, even empty vacuum, human civilization could expand indefinitely without needing any outside support. Karen leaned back in her chair. The implications hit her like a wave. The Council doesn't know about any of this? They know we're advancing quickly, Carter said. That's why they're afraid. But they have no idea how far we've actually come. Chime indicated an incoming priority transmission. Karen's secretary appeared on the wall screen. Madam President, Governor Ben Torres from Proxima Centauri is requesting immediate contact. He says it's urgent. Put him through. The screen shifted to show a weather-beaten man in his 50s. Governor Torres had been one of the first colonists to reach Proxima Centauri 15 years ago. His colony now housed over 2 million people. Karen, Torres said without preamble, I just finished reading the Council's demands. You need to know how the colonies are reacting. Tell me. Every colony governor held emergency sessions with their populations. The votes weren't even close. Proxima Centauri voted 97% for rejection. New Eden was 95%. Even the newest colonies, the ones that might struggle most without council support, voted to reject by margins over 80%. Torres paused, and Karen could see emotion building in his face. These people didn't leave Earth to be safe, he continued. They left to be free. They traveled impossible distances and built homes on alien worlds because they believe in human potential. You ask them to trade that freedom for security, and they'll laugh in your face. What about supplies? Karen asked. Food, medicine, equipment. We've been preparing for this possibility longer than you might think, Torres said. The colonies have been sharing resources and technology for years. We're not as dependent on Earth or the Council as the official reports suggest. Kim leaned toward the screen. Ben, what about the research stations? The deep space projects? Torres grinned. Rachel, some of your best work is being done in labs the Council doesn't even know exist. We've been building in systems they haven't mapped yet. If we cut ties with the Council, we can accelerate that research by decades. Carter stepped forward. Governor, what's the military situation? Every colony has a defense force, Torres said. Local ships, trained crews, stockpiled. Supplies. We're not helpless out here, General. And if the Council thinks they can force us to comply through blockades or threats, they'll discover that humans fight hardest when their backs are against the wall. Karen studied the faces of her advisors. Carter looked eager for the challenge. Kim seemed excited by the possibilities. Torres radiated the confidence of a man who had already made peace with his decision. There's something else, Kim said quietly. The breakthrough technologies I showed you, they're not theoretical. We've already built prototypes, test ships using the new drives, construction drones using the replication systems, zero-point generators powering research stations. How many people know about this? Karen asked. Need to know basis, Carter said. Maybe 500 across all projects, but every one of them is ready to take that technology and run with it if we choose independence. Karen stood and walked back to the window. Below, the city hummed with 8 billion human lives. Beyond Earth's atmosphere, millions more humans lived on dozens of worlds, all of them waiting for her decision. The Council assumes we need them, she said finally. They think no species can survive alone in the galaxy. They're about to learn otherwise, Torres said from the screen. Karen turned back to face her advisors. The weight of human history rested on her shoulders, but she felt lighter than she had in years. Draft a message to Captain Morrison, she said. Tell him to inform the Council that humanity rejects their ultimatum completely. We will not submit to oversight. We will not limit our expansion. We will not reduce our defenses. Carter's smile could have powered a starship. And then, we show the galaxy what humans do when someone tries to put us in a cage, Karen said. We build a bigger one. Captain Roy Henderson watched the final transport ship disappear into hyperspace. From the observation deck of Armstrong Station, he could see the empty docking bays that had buzzed with activity just hours before. The evacuation was proceeding, exactly as planned. That's the last civilian ship from Section C, reported engineer Sophie Miller. She stood at a control console monitoring the systematic shutdown of station systems. All families are safely aboard transports heading for the rendezvous points. Roy nodded and marked another item off his checklist. Armstrong Station had been humanity's largest trading post in Council space. Over 50,000 people had called it home. Now it stood empty except for the small crew overseeing its abandonment. What about the research labs? Roy asked. Cleaned out completely, Sophie said. Every piece of equipment removed or destroyed, every data core wiped clean. The Council won't find so much as a coffee stain to analyze. The evacuation had begun 3 days after President Walsh delivered humanity's response to the Council ultimatum. There had been no grand announcement, no diplomatic fanfare. Human ships had simply started leaving Council space, quietly and efficiently. Roy's communication console chimed with an incoming message. The face of Captain Janet Lee appeared on screen. She commanded the evacuation of the Tau Ceti research facility. Roy, we've finished here, Janet reported. All personnel evacuated, all technology removed. We're implementing Protocol 7 now. Protocol 7 meant complete sterilization. Every human installation was being either evacuated intact or destroyed utterly. Nothing would remain for the Council to study or salvage. Any problems with Council? Monitoring? Roy asked. They tried to send a patrol ship to investigate our withdrawal, Janet said. We told them it was a routine personnel rotation. They seemed to buy it. Good. Maintain the fiction as long as possible. Roy cut the connection and turned back to monitoring the evacuation reports flooding his screens. Across Council space, the same scene was playing out at dozens of human facilities. Colonies evacuated in the night. Trading posts emptied of people and equipment. Research stations stripped bare and abandoned. The Council had demanded humanity reduce its presence in the galaxy. They were getting their wish in ways they never imagined. Sir, Sophie called from her station. I'm getting reports from the outer colonies. Governor Martinez says the evacuation of New Barcelona is complete. Governor Chen confirms that Haven Colony is ready for departure. The outer colonies presented the greatest challenge. Unlike space stations, they could not be moved. But Dr. Kim's teams had found a solution. Every colony had been built using modular technology that could be rapidly disassembled and transported. Within weeks, entire cities had been broken down into component parts and loaded onto massive cargo ships. The colonists took everything they could carry and destroyed what they left behind. What about the agriculture worlds? Roy asked. Most of the equipment is already loaded, Sophie said. The crops we're leaving behind, but the genetic samples and seed banks are secure. We can rebuild our food production capacity at the new sites. Roy reviewed the master timeline on his personal display. The evacuation was proceeding faster than even the most optimistic projections. Human efficiency was exceeding all expectations. A priority signal flashed on his console. Ambassador Morrison's face appeared, transmitting from the council chambers, where he still maintained his diplomatic post. Roy, what's your status? Morrison asked. 90% complete, Roy replied. We'll be ready to implement the final phase within 72 hours. Good. The council is starting to notice the reduced human activity, but they're not panicking yet. They think we're just making some symbolic withdrawals to show our displeasure. Roy almost smiled. The council's arrogance was making the evacuation easier than it should have been. They could not imagine that humanity would actually leave their space entirely. "Any word from the scout fleets?" Roy asked. "Admiral Parker reports that the advanced teams have identified over 200 suitable systems beyond Council space," Morrison said. "Many with better resources than what we're leaving behind." The scout fleets had been the first part of the operation. While the Council debated humanity's fate, human exploration ships had been mapping new regions of the galaxy. They had found systems rich in rare materials, worlds perfect for colonization, and star clusters that offered natural defenses against unwanted visitors. "The new sites are ready to receive evacuees?" Roy asked. "More than ready," Morrison said. "Some of the advanced teams have already begun construction using the new technologies. By the time our main population arrives, they'll find infrastructure waiting for them." Roy terminated the call and returned to his checklist. The next phase would be the most visible. Human military ships would begin withdrawing from their patrol routes. Trade vessels would stop arriving at Council ports. Diplomatic missions would quietly pack up and disappear. "Sophie, what's the status on military evacuation?" "Admiral Thompson reports that Fleet Group 7 has completed withdrawal from the Vega sector," she said. "Fleet Group 3 is moving to extraction points near the Galactic Rim. All ships are maintaining communication silence except for coded status updates." The military withdrawal was perhaps the most complex part of the operation. Human ships had been stationed throughout Council space, ostensibly as peacekeepers and patrol vessels. In reality, they had been mapping every hyperspace route, cataloging every resource, and identifying every strategic weakness in Council defenses. Now those ships were pulling back to rendezvous points, where they would receive new orders and new destinations. "Any signs that the Council suspects what we're really doing?" Roy asked. Sophie checked her intelligence feeds. "Some curiosity about the reduced trade traffic, a few inquiries about personnel rotations, but no indication they understand the scope of what's happening." Roy looked out at the empty docking bays again. In a few hours, Armstrong Station would be completely abandoned. The fusion reactors would be shut down, the life support systems deactivated, and the last human presence in this sector would disappear into hyperspace. "How long until we can implement the final protocol?" he asked. Sophie consulted her timeline. "All personnel will be clear of Council space within 60 hours. We can begin final protocols immediately afterward." Final protocols meant the complete severing of all ties with Council civilization. Human communication networks would be redirected to new systems. Trade agreements would be allowed to lapse. Diplomatic channels would simply go silent. The Council would wake up one day to discover that humanity had vanished from their galaxy like a dream upon waking. "Sir," Sophie said quietly, "do you think they'll come looking for us?" Roy considered the question. The Council's arrogance was matched only by their fear of anything they could not control. They might try to follow humanity's trail, but they would find nothing but empty space and cold stars. "Let them look," he said finally. "By the time they realize what they've lost, we'll be so far ahead they'll never catch up." His console chimed with another evacuation report. Another human facility had been successfully abandoned. Another piece of humanity's presence in Council space had been erased. The Council had wanted humanity gone. They were about to learn the difference between getting what you want and getting what you need. Council Prime LeftHFY stared at the economic reports scattered across his desk. 6 months had passed since humanity's silent departure from Council space. 6 months of watching their carefully ordered galaxy fall apart piece by piece. Trade. Coordinator HFY stood before him, her crystalline form flickering with nervous energy. The reports she had delivered painted a picture of economic collapse that LeftHFY could barely comprehend. "Explain this to me again," he said, his scales shifting to dark orange with stress. "How can the loss of one species cause this much damage?" HFY's voice chimed with barely controlled panic. Humans controlled 47% of interspecies shipping routes. They operated the main cargo hubs in 16 systems. Without their logistics network, goods cannot move efficiently between member worlds. Zethkar picked up another datapad. And this manufacturing crisis? Human industrial facilities produced 63% of refined materials used in council space, HFY said. Their factories processed raw materials faster and cheaper than any other species. Without them, production costs have tripled across all industries. The reports were full of similar disasters. Food shipments stranded because human cargo ships no longer ran their routes. Medicine shortages because human pharmaceutical companies had closed their facilities. Communication breakdowns because human relay stations had gone dark. Security. Chief Morden entered the office without waiting for permission. The massive, insect-like warrior's usually calm demeanor showed cracks of genuine concern. The military situation is getting worse, Morden announced. 3 border conflicts have erupted in the past month. The hegemony and the Federation are disputing mining rights in the Aldebaran system. The Silicon Collective is threatening the organic worlds over trade violations. Zethkar felt his stomach clench. What about our peacekeeping forces? Stretched beyond capacity, Morden said. Human ships provided early warning networks across 42 systems. Their patrol routes kept dozens of potential conflicts from escalating. Without their presence, old rivalries are resurging everywhere. The irony was not lost on Zethkar. The Council had forced humanity out because they feared human aggression. Now, without humans to keep the peace, actual wars were breaking out across the galaxy. Have we been able to contact them? Zethkar asked. Morden's mandibles clicked with frustration. We've sent messages to every known human world. All communications are returned as undeliverable. It's as if they've completely vanished from known space. HFY activated a holographic display above Zethkar's desk. It showed a map of the galaxy with human territories marked in blue. Slowly, the blue areas faded to gray as the display updated with current data. Their colonies are gone, she said. Not destroyed, just empty. Our scout ships have investigated 17 human worlds. All show signs of recent evacuation, but no indication of where the populations went. Zethkar studied the map. In 6 months, humanity had erased itself from Council space more completely than any military conquest could have achieved. What about their technology? He asked. Surely they left behind some equipment we could study. Nothing useful, HFY said. Every human facility was either evacuated completely or sterilized beyond recovery. They took their technology with them or destroyed it rather than leave it behind. A chime indicated an incoming emergency transmission. The face of Ambassador Veltara appeared on the wall screen. Behind her, Zethkar could see smoke and emergency lights. Council Prime, Veltara said, her crystalline form crackling with stress. Fractures. The situation on Kepler Prime is deteriorating rapidly. Without human mediators, the labor disputes have turned violent. We need immediate intervention. Zethkar closed his eyes. Kepler Prime was one of the Council's most important industrial worlds. If production stopped there, the economic crisis would become a complete collapse. Send what peacekeeping forces we can spare, he ordered. Sir, Veltara said hesitantly. We don't have any forces to spare. Every available ship is dealing with other crises. The transmission ended, leaving Zethkar alone with his advisors and the weight of a galaxy falling apart. How long can we maintain stability? He asked. Morden and HFY exchanged glances. The silence stretched uncomfortably before HFY spoke. Based on current trends, we have perhaps 3 months before multiple member species face societal breakdown. After that, the Council itself may fragment. Zethkar stood and walked to the window that looked out over the Council chambers. For centuries, those chambers had been the seat of galactic government. Now they felt like the bridge of a sinking ship. There must be a way to find them, he said. Humans cannot simply disappear from the galaxy. Actually, Morden said quietly, our intelligence suggests they can. Analysis of their final ship movements indicates they developed faster-than-light technology far superior to our own. They could have reached unexplored regions of the galaxy within days of leaving Council space. The implications hit LeftHFY like a physical blow. If humans had been hiding advanced technology, then everything the Council thought it knew about them was wrong. How advanced? He asked. Unknown, Mordan admitted, but their evacuation was so efficient and coordinated that it suggests capabilities we never suspected. They may have been planning for this possibility for years. LeftHFY returned to his desk and activated his personal communication system. The time for pride had passed. The Council needed humanity more than humanity had ever needed the Council. Draft a message, he ordered. Broadcast it on all frequencies. Offer full pardons for their rejection of our ultimatum. Offer expanded territorial rights. Offer them anything they want if they'll just come back. Genhai's form brightened with hope. Do you think they'll respond? LeftHFY looked again at the economic reports. Production down 70%. Trade routes collapsed. Member species on the brink of rebellion. The galaxy's greatest civilization reduced to begging for help from the species they had tried to exile. I hope so, he said, because if they don't, the Galactic Council has about 3 months left to exist. As his advisors left to draft the desperate message, LeftHFY remained at his window. Somewhere out in the vast darkness between the stars, humanity was building a new civilization. They had taken their technology, their ships, their knowledge, and their spirit, and simply walked away from everything the Council offered. The Council had wanted to control human expansion. Instead, they had taught humanity that they didn't need the Council at all. Now the galaxy would learn what silence sounded like when the most dynamic species in known space stopped talking and started building something better elsewhere.